Welcome to everybody. You are the lucky ones of joining the last session of a 3 days conference. So welcome to everybody. We are the more energized team here, so just join our journey. I'm Giovanni Fonseca, pedagogical engineer at Potsdam University. I work for EDUC, for the EDUC Alliance. And where is the...
We're just searching for the clicker. Ah, here it is. Perfect, sorry.
So I was saying, no. Okay, some people in there will help us with that. Okay, as I say, I am working as a pedagogical engineer for the EDUC Alliance, which is one of the 44 European University Alliance that actually are experimenting different formats. And with me is Fred.
You can switch to the next slide, yes. Yes. Also from my side, a very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us at this last session. My name is Frederic Matthe. I'm at the University of Potsdam responsible for promoting and fostering COIL and virtual exchange. So you can call me COIL coordinator, and many years I was active in digitalization of teaching and learning, and so this is not new, but the international component is quite new for me, I mean, since 2 years. But the international component made it even more exciting, but as you can imagine, also even more challenging. So, and I'm happy to be here with you.
So, just to give you a context, this is our alliance. We are 8 universities in the heart of Europe, and that means we are very diverse in different aspects. I will talk a little bit more about it later on. And
yes, and I represent the COIL UP unit. It's located, unit, it sounds great or big. In the end, it is I and my student assistant. We are located at the Center for Quality Development in Teaching and Learning. The initiative was founded already 2014 by my predecessor, a guy called Alexander Knott, who is now at the DAAD, and he started to set the first basics. He launched first projects, and since November 2020, the unit or the position changed from a vice president for internationalization to the Teaching and Learning Center, where I am, and I'm honored to fill in this position now.
So, in short, those are the different goals. Just to let you know that we are working in different spheres, but very close together. In the case of EDUC, we have a very ambitious goal of creating the European Digital UniverCity. So, as you can imagine, it's kind of a huge goal and also part of a huge responsibility in that sense. And we want to experiment with different formats. One of them is obviously virtual mobility, which includes virtual exchange. And that's exactly one of the connections that we will present as a best practices with COIL UP.
Yeah, my goals for promoting COIL and virtual exchange at our university are at first, of course, although we started already in 2014, COIL virtual exchange, its benefits, its formats, activities, the majority are teacher-led projects, class-to-class projects, are not widely known across the university. So this is the first short-term goal for me, of course, and as you can imagine, internationalization at home opportunities can perhaps or can also promote it with a top-down strategy, but in my opinion it's more sustainable when teachers, students and also administrators are working together to reach this goal. And the long-term goal is, of course, to give every student someday the opportunity to make these experiences, and this needs, of course, a broad implementation into the curricula. It needs some very specific preconditions I'm working on.
So, just to give you an idea of what is our universe. We are a network of 8 different universities. We have a core team in EDUC which work mainly to coordinate different working packages, different goals in each working package. And most of the work that we have done in the pilot phase in the last almost 3 years was obviously because of the pandemic virtual exchange based on almost a COIL format. And I will say, okay, COIL, what learning? Yeah, it was actually a COIL format because nobody of us has a manual on how to create the European University. So we don't follow any instructions and just apply it at its own. So we are learning permanently about how to create that kind of alliance. And in that sense, it's a self-determined learning process which has been facilitated or mediated by digital technology, because we were not able from the beginning to meet with our partners because of the pandemic. So we start working exactly in the same way as we will implement a COIL program. And we are still learning how to still develop the next steps and the next phases in our network. As you can see here on the graphic, there are these 3 points. That means that there are some gaps we recognize in these 3 years collaborating with our partners, that there are differences, and there are those gaps that are important to recognize because of the next steps that we will talk about later.
Yes, and let me now present one specific perspective of a local perspective of our university, and on one specific topic, COIL Virtual Exchange, at one of these partner universities within the EDUC Alliance, and this regarding challenges as well as our visions. Of course, there are some preconditions or prerequisites for doing COIL for our teachers, and establishing such conducive conditions or sustainable structures is the main challenge just right now. I'm convinced that we are at the University of Potsdam with the annual seed money program called the Cooperation Funding Co-op, and also with the permanent COIL coordinator position, we are quite well equipped compared to many other universities. But it is not always, in my opinion, about the money. I always quote a very engaged and in teaching and learning very curious professor. He always said, there is no need to convince me about the benefits of COIL. There is no need to motivate me. I need time. And this is the main challenge for the majority of our teachers, especially for instance, in the Teaching and Learning Center, where some of our really COIL pioneers are located. They have compared to other faculties, the highest teaching load, 20 hours a week, and so there is no place, there is no time to develop COIL. The second one is, involving all stakeholders in the whole process is, of course, very important. It takes time. This is also a challenge sometimes, and a really long time task. The next one is to recognize different conditions and realities at our university, at our different schools. Sometimes are going ahead, like I said, at the language center or faculty of arts and humanities. We have our pioneers, we have our champions, but we have to recognize also parties or departments or faculty that are reluctant, that are waiting and maybe also put the focus on more on research than on developing innovative teaching and learning formats. And last but not least, the big challenge is all the time, is like sometimes a PhD project, to keep all relevant parties, all stakeholders informed and build really reliable communication channels and structures. So facing these and other challenges, the obvious question is, how closer ties between involved parties and joint activities can help overcome these issues, and how can they help to achieve wishes and goals for the future of COIL virtual exchange. And this leads to the idea of community, or the question of community. And next, there is the vision to develop a common understanding why we do this, why it is necessary to implement COIL and virtual exchange in a broader and deeper way across our university. We have to develop a shared vision about future learning at our University of at our university. I mean, we have strategy papers, we have an internationalization strategy, we have a mission statement of teaching and learning, where international teaching and learning is part of. Yes, this shared vision is very important, I think. We have to exchange knowledge, we have to discuss together needs and challenges to find solutions for our future vision of learning, and we have to do this together. This means not everyone at every time. Of course, there has to be an active and committed core of people who do this, and it's not the goal to get the same perspective on things, but using diversity as an asset for this process. So yes, only very briefly, facing these challenges and following these visions, which also exist in specific forms at other EDUC universities. Gio and I started, I don't remember when, to discuss the importance of community development and how can it looks like, bringing our local perspective from the UP and the global perspective from the EDUC partners together. And it's an ongoing process, and now Gio will give some ideas how can it look like.
So based on this observation that we had from our alliance, and also our closing work together and having these shared topics, we start to delivering or to think in this concept of network learning based on communities of practices. And this is kind of the, again, the universe, and just to clarify some concepts, these purple circles means different communities of practices based on topics or roles for the members of those communities. And as you can see here in the middle, there is the EDUC staff, which based on those working packages, goals, and so on, we have work as communities of practices in different topics. Probably one topic can be each working package, but also the different functions, like we have project managers, pedagogical engineers, IT persons, which are dealing with the digital implementation of all the activities we do, and so on and so on. And as you can see here in the image, those will be our local communities of practices, and those are our global, let's say global, because we are not a universal network, but let's say it's our global community of practices. So what will be the ideal case? That we should have in each of our partner universities the same communities of practices to be able to create those bridges here, as the case between Fred and myself. I am part of the community of practices here, which is the group of all the pedagogical engineers from each of the universities, and we have a partner which is an expert on COIL formats, and we make that bridge. I bring the topics from the Alliance to the university, and Fred bring the necessities and the local context to the Alliance. And this is how we are working all together. The ideal case will be to have all those bridges for the whole Alliance. But what is the reality? We don't have it. It's like that because we are working in a very diverse network of universities, and some of them doesn't have the same positions, doesn't have the same topics of interest, and so on. So we are in this challenge. How to deal with those differences in our Alliance? Well, a very pragmatical thing is that in the last 2 years we have started to piloting the so-called EDUC Academy, which is the space for our teachers to collectively share their experience by participating in different projects within the Alliance. And those, in the future, will be improved by developing probably teacher training tracks specifically to cover those gaps. So what we are planning to do in the next 4 years is by implementing programs within the EDUC Academy to identify, first of all, what are those differences and what are the partners that have experience on those topics in order to be collaboratively enable the development of skills that we need depending on our diversity. And this is part of our fundamental strategy to develop our Alliance and our work, not only for virtual exchanges or COIL formats in this case, but in general. It's part of, or should be part of our fundamental strategy in the future. And this is for you.
This is for me. Yes, and this is only one specific example or topic that I want to show you or explain you how to bring local and global perspectives together in joint activities. As a call coordinator, I started. I mean, it's about professional development and training opportunities for teaching staff. At the University of Potsdam, I started last year to organize short online information events about COIL and virtual exchange, some practical examples at the University of Potsdam, and how we support with different offers to doing COIL and virtual exchange. But I realized that it needs obviously a little bit more than this brief online information to get the teachers on board, because we always had a small number of participants. And this led me this year to plan and invite an international expert from Uni Collaboration, and we had just the last week on Friday a really fantastic workshop with Anna Bevan. And beforehand I was really quite afraid because of, based on the experiences with these small online events, that we get enough registrations from teachers. But finally, almost 20 lecturers and administrative staff joined us from different areas, and it was really a great experience and a good exchange between all these status groups as well. And our next step, this was the workshop, and our next step, Gio and I will organize also again with the support of Uni Collaboration in 2023 two different trainings on COIL and virtual exchange. Deeper introduction training, and also as well as design training for interested teachers who want to train how to design COIL together with a partner, not only for the UP lecturers or the UP staff, but as well we invite all lecturers in the whole EDUC Alliance. So, and I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm convinced that those joint efforts will bring, on the one hand, of course, many benefits to our teachers, as well as will be a part of some kind of community building activity within the whole EDUC Alliance.
Exactly. In talking about community, we were able, Freda and myself, we were able to participate in the IBEC conference in Valencia last month, and it was really inspiring just to look at all the different ways of working together globally by using in most of the cases the same format or based on the same structure. So we got a lot of input, and now we have to process that. That's why this looks a mess, but well, we have to process all the information that we bring in, that we brought in our backpacks, in order to also share that in some pragmatical way to our teachers, because in that sense we were we had the advantage of being there, presenting our work, but not all the teachers or not all our partners are able to be part of these kind of international conferences. And the way to create or to have different creative solutions of bring those inspiring experiences and share it with our community in our alliance is part of our job. It's part of being a community, to share. Sharing is caring, right? So how to create those links between probably a luxurious position from us being in that conference to bring those instruments, those tools, those inspiring ideas to our teachers that probably because of lack of time and other responsibilities are not able to participate in these kind of events. So this is another example of how we are creating those bridges in a very pragmatical way. And well, it's all from our side. It will be a pleasure to stay in contact, and if you have some questions, it's the time.